Today's presenting sponsor of Gambling Mad with Norm and Chad is brought to you by 24K Wellness. Not all nutritional supplements are the same. 24K Wellness makes it their mission to help you feel, perform, and live at your best naturally and sustainably. 24K Wellness delivers nutritional supplements based on more than 5 decades of experience. Premium gold standard natural ingredients with advanced formulations and rigorous quality assurance testing to create products that support energy, recovery, vitality, long-term health, and cognition for focus through stress, late nights, and questionable decisions. No promises on your picks. And right now, special for Gambling Mad listeners only, go to 24kwellness.com and use the code MAD24K for the absolute lowest prices anywhere. Once again, that's 24kwellness.com and use the code MAD24K. 24K Wellness, fuel better, live better. Tell them Norm sent you.
The president, during a Ford factory tour in Dearborn, Michigan, was confronted by a heckler. The heckler shouted to the president that he was a pedophile protector. Trump responded by twice shouting back, F you, then flipping him the bird. My man! DJT puts the P in presidential. Norman Chad. Norman Chad. Welcome to Gambling Mad with Norman Chad. I am Norman Chad. Coming up on the program today, is the NFL asking us for too much money to watch their games? Is the world's best restaurant asking us for too much money to sample their food? And is Joey Chestnut just eating too much? Gambling Mad, as always, brought to you by Fritos, picked fresh off of Central California trees every morning, delivered directly to your local retailer every afternoon. And by the refreshing taste of Fresca. Fritos and Fresca, it's a meal. Is the NFL too evil? No, they're not evil. Who among us calls the National Football League evil? No, the NFL is a business, albeit a runaway, successful big business. Let's talk for a moment about the NFL and how it decides where to televise its games. For years, I have defended local sports franchises and professional leagues such as the NFL and MLB when it changes the nature of its broadcast package. It's their product. They can choose to show it on TV or not. They can choose how to show it on TV. There is no constitutional amendment, and I have read through the entire U.S. Constitution several times, guaranteeing an American sports fan viewing access to any and every sporting contest. And there's actually no birthright to that either, though Philadelphia Eagles fans, I'm sure, would argue otherwise. They argue everything. So if a team or a league wants to go from a broadcast network to cable, so be it. If they want to charge a fee for individual games, so be it. This is still America, the last time I looked, and I did check CNN this morning to make sure. And in America, it is a market economy, whatever the market will bear. I still believe all this, but I saw a post on X the other day from a gentleman by the name of Dan Rogers, a manufacturing engineer and Dallas Cowboys fan from Albany, Oregon. He shared with us a letter that his uncle wrote to the NFL, and let me share that letter with you right now. I am writing as a longtime NFL fan, a senior citizen, and a 74-year-old combat war veteran on a fixed income. I've followed the NFL for what feels like an entire life. Watching football has been one of the few constants and joys I still look forward to each season. In recent years, the increasing movement of NFL games to pay-per-view and multiple streaming services has made it financially impossible for many of us to continue watching the sport we love. Seniors, veterans, and others on fixed incomes already struggle with rising costs for necessities and standard television service. Asking fans to pay for several additional streaming subscriptions places NFL games out of the reach for people like me. For many seniors and veterans, football is more than entertainment. It is companionship, routine, and connection, especially for those of us who are homebound or living alone. Being priced out feels like we are quietly being pushed aside after decades of loyalty. I urge the NFL to reconsider the continued scattering of games across paid streaming platforms and to keep games accessible through traditional television. He signed it respectfully, a concerned senior and proud combat veteran. That was well expressed. A simple, heartfelt sentiment. The NFL has more money than God, particularly if God gambles, because I guarantee you that he or she cannot beat the sports books. Do NFL team owners, many of whom are billionaires, really have to extract every last penny out of the American consumer? You can practice capitalism and still be a capital gent, a decent individual or company. So is it necessary to charge Amazon Prime Video or Peacock a gazillion dollars so they can then turn around and charge us $10 or $15 a month to watch some NFL games? Have a heart, Roger Goodell. Have a heart, Jerry Jones. Take your foot off of our goddamn necks. Otherwise, we can't even reach into our pockets to bet the games. The Circa Survivor NFL handicap competition is a great contest. In a survivor pool, for those of you who don't know, each entrant, you got to pick one winner off the schedule every week, just the winner. No point spread. As long as you make the correct selection that week, you move on to the next week. The catch is this, you can use a team only one time all season. So there's a lot of strategy on when to pick who you pick. And then, at any time, one incorrect selection and you are eliminated. Circa Survivor costs $1,000 per entry. This season, they got more than 18,000 entries. That created a pool of more than $18 million. Often only one or two players make it all the way to the end. Sometimes you don't make it all the way to the end at all. It's hard to pick one winner every week, picking a different team. 5 entries managed to make it this season without a misstep, and those 5 entries then shared about $3.7 million each. So for $1,000, you can win millions. But when I say you, I don't mean you or me. It's practically impossible for one individual to stay perfect over 20 weeks. So while this competition, it seems like a great contest, it's a bit of an illusion. Any person is allowed up to 10 entries under their own account. And then certain people form teams. So say 5 individuals might join forces. They will collectively play up to 50 entries among the 5 of them, and then they would split the winnings if any entry or entries makes it to the end. Today, one individual, Galen Hall, a former poker pro, he had 2 of those 5 winning entries because he was aligned with different teams and syndicates. So, of course, to do that, let's say you had 5 people doing 10 entries. That costs $50,000, but that gives the syndicate 50 chances to hit gold against any single person's 1 chance. Nothing illegal here, nothing unethical here, but it reminds me of DFS. In daily fantasy, if you or me wishes to submit one lineup, our chances of beating teams of entries that craft analytics-created lineups every which way are next to 0. We are stone-cold losers to fight this. It's not a rigged system, but certainly a weighted system. It's as if you are David and you're against 1 or 2 dozen Goliaths and you don't even have a single slingshot. Defenders of the Circa Survivor point out a couple of things. Anybody can risk $10,000 for 10 entries. It's your choice if you wish to play only 1 ticket. And they say this is how you create such an abundantly large prize pool, giving anybody a chance to win $18 million. Both of these points are correct, but it doesn't change how weighted this competition is, favoring the multiple entry person and teams. So let me just look at it quite simply. Let's say it was you and me. We do a heads-up survivor pool. We both put in $1,000. So as soon as one of us survives the other, the winner gets $1,000. It's a 50-50 proposition. Got a 50% chance of winning. So let's change it Let's say I decide I'm going to pay for 10 entries and you only pay for one. Now the pool is $11,000. Wow. I mean, now you have a chance to win 10 grand for your 1,000 bucks. But instead of having a 50-50 chance of surviving, your one ticket now has to outlast and survive my 10 tickets. I mean, I'm going to win your $1,000 virtually every time. That big prize pool, essentially, it is a mirage. Now, yeah, I can see some of you out there, milling about, and you have some confused looks on your face. Okay, let me explain this again. This is the same way that a DFS contestant should look at DFS contests. It's the way a Circus Survivor contestant should look at Circus Survivor. Can you outlast 18,000 other entries with your one entry? Good luck. And let me explain it to you in not more human terms, but TV terms. Some of you watch The Bachelor TV show. So let's say you have a bachelor who's meeting 20 or 30 women and interacting with them and eliminating a different woman or two every week. Let's pretend that instead I am the bachelor, and rather than meeting these individual females, I'm going to sift through, say, 18,000 letters they have sent me to start to pick a potential partner. Except one person has composed 15,000 of those letters, and then the other 3,000 are from 3,000 random individuals. As we move on, the person with 15,000 letters in the pool is much more likely to survive than any one woman who's just sending me a single letter each week. Does that make more sense to you? And by the way, Gambling Mad viewers, that is exactly how I picked my first and second wives. And each of them started by submitting 15,000 entries. Well, be careful what you wish for. As far as they're concerned, each marriage ended in divorce. Noma restaurant in Copenhagen, Denmark, is famous for many reasons. It is a Michelin 3-star establishment. It's been named the world's best restaurant 5 times in the last 16 years. It has a set price for a meal, almost $700 per person, and you've got to make a reservation months out to secure a table. Not my type of joint, but, I'm sure the food is very, very good. So Noma now is coming to Los Angeles, a pop-up residency for 16 weeks from March 11th through June 26th. It's here local. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I won't. Reservations will go live on Monday, January 26th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Not realistic for me to wake up that early to make a dinner reservation. And the tasting menu at Noma Los Angeles, mind you, this will include alcohol, a hospitality fee, and taxes, will run $1,500 a person. $1,500. That's before tip, and it does not include a lap dance. Okay, owner chef Rene Redzepi told the Los Angeles Times that the somewhat high menu price is in part due to costs associated with transporting 130 people from Copenhagen to LA, covering their lodging, and in some cases, schooling for staff members' children. Okay, let's back it up for a moment. 130 people for a 42-seat restaurant? I know the restaurant business pretty darn well. I've worked in restaurants. I have eaten in restaurants, including, of course, many, many drive-thrus. But what we're talking about here is we're talking about a chef's assistant to prepare the food in the kitchen, somebody at the hosting stand, maybe 3 or 4 servers, and a busboy, plus some administrative person who handles reservations, and somebody to work the parking valet. That's 10 people tops. How they get to 130? And these migrant bozos think actually they're going to get 100 plus people through immigration and customs with this administration? Well, they probably are white, so it probably was not a problem. Okay, I understand the need to find lodging and pay for lodging for Noma's workers, but I'm also paying a premium for fried reindeer moss, wild sea urchin, and fermented candy pine cones so that the maitre d's kid can go to private school in Beverly Hills? No. I think not. And let me tell you something else, folks. Even with today's inflated fast food economy, do you have any idea how many Popeyes two-piece meals I can get for $1,500? And Noma will not have a piece of bread on site that beats the Popeyes biscuit. So it's going to be a hard pass for Gambling Mad and staff on this offer. Oh, however, okay, there is one hack to beat the system. Each night, Noma is offering what it calls an industry table for up-and-coming hospitality professionals under the age of 25. They're going to take online applications and choose 4 people a night to get the full, 15 or 20 course tasting meal at no charge. What a freebie. My only problem here is that you have to be under 25. Well, let me let you in a little secret. When I shave my mustache, I look like 40 years younger. We're going to Sizzler, baby! Or whatever the name of the restaurant is. What was it? Noma. See you at Noma. Time for NFL picks. But before we get to our NFL picks, first let me ask our weekly NFL trivia question. In the 1993 film Sleepless in Seattle, how many words do co-stars Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan speak to each other? Good luck with that one. What? Well, you want to know how this is NFL trivia? What, you people are going to nitpick me on that stuff? I don't know. Maybe Tom Hanks' character was a Seahawks fan. Damn. All right. How many words they speak to each other? Hanks and Meg Ryan. Let me give you some interesting NFL trivia first. The Rams' Sean McVay will be coaching his 15th NFL playoff game this weekend, and it's against the Chicago Bears. And this is going to be the 15th different team in 15 playoff games that he has faced in the postseason. No. That is a statistical improbability. Trust me. And here is a metaphysical improbability. In the AFC North this season, the coaches were John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Kevin Stefanski, and Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor, who had a 6-11 record this season, is the only survivor of that group. I mean, we're talking, you had 2 Super Bowl winning coaches and a 2-time coach of the year, and Zach Taylor survives them. They're all gone. NFL is tough. I think Jerry Glanville, a former coach, once said it. NFL stands for not for long. All right, let's go to the picks. Guess what? I was 2-3 on the playoffs opening action last week, and it seems like I was 2-3 every other week this season. That's how I ended up 1 game under 500 for the regular season against the spread, and that's why right now I'm 1 game under 500 for the postseason. You go 1 game under 500 every week of the year betting sports, and I guarantee you're not paying $1,500 for any tasting menu at Noma. You go 1 game under 500 every week of the year, and you go from a 3-star Michelin restaurant to 3 Michelina frozen entrees for dinner. Time for the picks. Bills at Broncos. This was a weird one. The game opened with the Bills as a 1.5-point favorite at the beginning of the week. Now the Broncos are a 1.5-point favorite. So the public likes the Broncos. The public is usually wrong. The public is usually stupid. You don't think the public is stupid? Okay. Then why is Subway such a popular sandwich shop? Okay, so the Broncos, let's give them credit. They were 8-1 at home this season. They are rested. The Broncos have the league's number 2 rush defense. The Broncos had the 5th most sacks in NFL history. But the Bills have Josh Allen. Sure, he's banged up. Sure, he lost 2 more wide receivers to torn ACLs. Hey, my Pit Mix Blue has a torn ACL, and she beats me to the good spot on the couch every time. I have nothing against Broncos quarterback Bo Nix, but he's been living a charmed life. Eventually, a charmed life catches up to you. Just ask Charlie Sheen. I am taking the Bills and 1.5 points. 49ers at Seahawks. If I told you that Sam Darnold has had back-to-back 14-3 seasons with two different teams, the Vikings and the Seahawks, you would not believe me. But it's true, you dingleberries. Okay, so the Seahawks, playing at home, will have that 12th man in the stands. But the 49ers, playing on the road, will have 12 men on offense because Christian McCaffrey counts for 2 players. That's how good he is. The 49ers are 8-2 against the spread on the road this season. They're resilient. They're what we like to call in the Bay Area San Francisco tough with a glass of Chardonnay. Will the 49ers struggle against the Seahawks defense? Of course. But workers in America struggled for a long time before labor unions won the day finally. Teamsters! Teamsters! Always good to keep on the good side. I will take the 49ers in an ugly and close division rivalry game. I'll take them as a 7-point underdog. Teamsters! Texans at Patriots. The Texans have won 10 in a row. That means they have beaten teams in 10 straight games. You could look it up. I am counting on C.J. Stroud to have a bounce-back, turnover-free day. C.J., my man, hold onto the ball. All right? Do what I do. I put Jif crunchy peanut butter on both my hands. It sticks to the ball, and the peanut buttery smell just keeps you in a good mood 4 quarters long. The Texans have never been to the AFC Championship game. They are 0-6 in the divisional round. This is the divisional round. Okay, but let's just forget everything else strategy-wise, and let me just put all my cards on the table. I simply cannot root for the Patriots ever again in this or any subsequent lifetime. I'm still suffering post-Bill Belichick stress disorder. If Belichick were coaching the Vatican touch football team, I would root against him. And Belichick isn't the only problem. You know, for all I know, Drake May is actually Tom Brady. I don't trust that guy. And am I ever going to root for a team that is supported by Dave Portnoy and Bill Simmons? Who are we kidding? All right. Anyway, Drake May takes a lot of sacks. The Texans only allow you 2.78 seconds to throw the ball. I can tell you from personal experience, if I don't get at least 2.92 seconds to throw, I panic. Lost my Notre Dame scholarship because of that. I will take the Texans as a 3-point underdog.
That was easy.
It was easy. I'm never going to be picking the Patriots when it counts. Rams at Bears. I am just sick and tired of hearing all the Matthew Stafford cold weather stats. This game is in Chicago. Okay, yes, he is 1-9 in his last 10 games outdoors in the rain or the snow with 16 touchdown passes and 11 interceptions. When it's 20 degrees or lower, he has a passer rating of only 76.0. So this time around, he'll just wear the Burberry cashmere gloves that I sent him for his birthday. As for the Bears, Caleb Williams was simply incredible last week. Okay, good for him. All right, in 4th grade, I had the greatest kickball game in the history of Arcola Elementary School. And after that, I turned into Screech from Saved by the Bell. By the way, I'm also tired of hearing about the brilliance of Ben Johnson. Not only, is he an offensive genius, apparently he also assisted Sir Isaac Newton with his theory of relativity. The Rams, my friends, rank in the top 10 in the league in offense and defense. The Rams have the MVP at quarterback. They have a very good coach. And they outscored teams by an average of 10 points a game this season. They are going to the Super Bowl next month, while the Bears are going to Lou Malnati's for a consolation pizza. I am taking the Rams as a 3.5-point favorite. All right, let's answer this week's NFL trivia question. In the 1993 film Sleepless in Seattle, how many words do co-stars Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan speak to each other? Asher, did you see Sleepless in Seattle?
I have, but I cannot think of the number.
I don't expect you that. I mean, the film, first of all, is forever ago. And when you saw it, you might have been fairly little. You're still fairly, fairly young. I think he's 14. All right, I got the answer for you. How many did they speak to each other? Can you believe this? Only 4 words. Okay, they only appear in the movie on screen together in the very last scene atop the Empire State Building. Hanks, as Sam, says to Meg Ryan, as Annie, hello. Annie then says hello back to him. He then takes her hand and says, shall we? And they walk into the elevator with Sam's son, Jonah. That's it. Hello? Hello? Shall we? 4 words. It's a good one for a cocktail party. And tell them it's an NFL trivia question. A couple of quick White House notes. If you look outside your window, you might notice that the perennial Nobel Peace Prize candidate, President Trump, has declared war on America. The federal government has occupied several cities, and this past week, Trump's troops invaded the state of Minnesota. Their first order of business to remove all the oil from the state's gas stations, 1 gasoline can at a time. Meanwhile, the president, during a Ford factory tour in Dearborn, Michigan, was confronted by a heckler. The heckler shouted to the president that he was a pedophile protector. Trump responded by twice shouting back, F you, then flipping him the bird. My man! DJT puts the P in presidential. At the time of this taping, the president was undecided whether to arrest the worker or appoint him as the new White House Director of Communications. Before we get too deep into the new year, I wanted to revisit 3 revelatory ideas of mine from 2025 that deserve another look. One's poker related, one is NFL related, one is everyday life related. No Limit Hold'em is a fine and popular game, but it can use a tweak, not to replace the current version, but to give players a fresh option to go to for a change of pace. There's already an iteration of Hold'em called Pineapple, in which each player is dealt 3 cards into their hand instead of 2, and then they have to discard one of them before or after the flop. That's a lot of fun. I have another one that's a lot of fun. My proposal is called 2 and 2. Each player gets the usual 2 cards before it all starts, but then the flop is only 2 cards instead of 3. Interesting. Okay, nobody can flop a completed 5-card hand for starters. Plus, it adds another betting round. So for you newbies, in Standard Hold'em, there are 5 community cards anyone can use. The first 3 of them come out on the flop, then a 4th card called the turn, and then the 5th card called the river. And you use those cards with your 2 to make your best 5-card hand. In my version, the flop is only 2 cards, not 3. So instead of 3, 1, and 1, the board now comes out 2, 1, 1, and 1. Flop, turn, peekaboo, river. Yes, the exciting peekaboo in between the turn and the river. Who won't love the peekaboo? 2 and 2 Hold'em, my friends, featuring the all-new 2-card flop. It's the only thing I talk about anymore. My current wife, Tony, has found yet another reason not to eat dinner with me. Next, in the NFL, you get 4 downs to get 10 yards or more for a new set of downs. How about this? Once a game, a team gets an option to use a 5th down. Yes. And we will call this the golden down. What a fascinating stratagem. When do you use it? You'd think most coaches will wait till very late in the game to activate the golden down, but who knows? And this will just, be another endless talking point for pundits, fans, and bettors. Let's say trailing by 6 points after failing on 4th down at midfield. Why did Lions coach Dan Campbell decide to use his golden down and go for 5th down and 3 with 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter? Maybe because he's an idiot. Did he use it too early? Who knows? The golden down is my way of giving back to a league that has given me so much. It's the only thing I talk about anymore. My current wife, Tony, has found yet another reason not to eat dinner with me. And finally, my piece de resistance. We need a new, simpler calendar. Why do some months have 30 days and others have 31? With the current setup, you're constantly looking up a future date to see what day of the week it is. No more with my groundbreaking 8-day week, 32-day month, 11-month year. It is so simple. Wow.
That was easy.
Tell you how easy it is. Okay? Every day of the week becomes the same date. So if January 3rd is a Tuesday, well, then February 3rd is a Tuesday, March 3rd is a Tuesday, and so on. Secondly, the 8-day week gives everybody what they always yearn for, the 3-day weekend. It's built in. 5 days a week, then of work, and then 3 days off. And we get a whole new day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Bees Day, Saturday, Sunday. Huh? Why Bees Day? That's just a placeholder, okay? Don't start shouting at me. We can think of a better name, but I love the sound of Bees Day. Yo, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, you going to the beach on Bees Day? Whoo, ain't this great? Yes, it is. 8 days a week, 32 days a month, 11 months a year. Now, I understand a couple of the sharper tools in the shed out there might notice a couple of things. With only 11 months, we got to lose a month. That's easy. February. Everybody hates February. Okay, sure, February is Black History Month, but just move it to March and Black history aficionados get 4 extra days to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr., Thurgood Marshall, Alvin Ailey, and John Morant. Which leads us to the other problem. 32 days a month, 11 months a year. That only adds up to 352 days. 13 days short of the standard 365-day year. So this is what we do. After the new December 32nd, we then have a 12-day year-end national holiday called Restivus. Yes, Restivus. We rest and relax and rejoice. That's followed by New Year's Eve, and it's just called New Year's Eve. There's no month or date attached to it. And then we start the new year on January 1. This just blows my mind. And it's the only thing I talk about anymore. My current wife, Tony, has found yet another reason not to eat dinner with me. I eat alone a lot. Before we wrap up, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. Enough with competitive eating. Enough with grotesque celebrations of gluttony. Enough with Joey Chestnut. There's a fine line between an all-you-can-eat buffet and consuming 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes. One is overconsumption. The other is overwhelmingly overbearing. It was bad enough when Joey Chestnut was winning Nathan's famous hot dog contest on the 4th of July 17 times. Now he's going for his 3rd straight World Bagel Eating Championship on January 31st at Siegel's Bagel Mania restaurant in Las Vegas. The last 2 years, he has won. You get 8 minutes. He won by eating 15 bagels with cream cheese in 8 minutes. The World Bagel Eating Champion only gets $10,000. So these gastronomical athletes don't do it so much for the money, I guess, as they do it for the glory and the indigestion. To each his own, okay? But this just Joey Chestnut, he struts around town like he's one part Elvis Presley and one part Muhammad Ali. He's just stuffing wieners and bagels down his throat while the world burns. Okay, granted, I'm not doing much better. I'm just a poker player and penniless podcaster. But at least I know that when you go to Siegel's Bagel Mania, you don't get a bagel. You should order the egg whites, feta, garlic, spinach, and tomato scramble. Woo, so good. And I get it with a Dr. Brown's black cherry soda.
Yum.
That will do it for another edition of Gambling Mad with Norm and Chad. Hope to see you again next time. And remember, if you're going to roll the dice, make sure they're loaded.
Today's presenting sponsor of Gambling Mad with Norm and Chad is brought to you by 24K Wellness. Not all nutritional supplements are the same. 24K Wellness makes it their mission to help you feel, perform, and live at your best naturally and sustainably. 24K Wellness delivers nutritional supplements based on more than 5 decades of experience. Premium gold standard natural ingredients with advanced formulations and rigorous quality assurance testing to create products that support energy, recovery, vitality, long-term health, and cognition for focus through stress, late nights, and questionable decisions. No promises on your picks. And right now, special for Gambling Mad listeners only, go to 24kwellness.com and use the code MAD24K for the absolute lowest prices anywhere. Once again, that's 24kwellness.com and use the code MAD24K. 24K Wellness, fuel better, live better. Tell them Norm sent you.
Every time I make the mistake of watching college football, particularly an SEC game, I am intrigued by what happens right after the final whistle. The head coaches shake hands, and then as they walk or sprint off the field, they are surrounded by a cadre of men in uniforms with firearms or batons. Sometimes they are campus cops, sometimes they are state troopers. Either way, these college football coaches often get a police escort to the locker room. Maybe I'm missing something here. I guess this is for crowd control or a safeguard against any untoward incident. How is it possible that coaching at the highest levels of college football, and everyone knows there is no higher level of college football than the Southeastern Conference, roll tide, how is it possible that coaching at this level requires Secret Service-like protection? I know this goes back to the days of Bear Bryant, but now it is standard operating procedure. This is where we're at as a culture? This is not a step too far? Coaches generally are the highest paid public employee in most states. They often get a nice home purchased for them as part of their deal. But law enforcement surrounding them as they go to and from work, are they in danger if they lose a game? Or these days, are they in danger if they don't win a game by enough points to cover the spread? Well, I'm telling you that we're all going to hell in a handbasket sponsored by DraftKings and FanDuel, and the handbasket is going to have a built-in console that allows you to keep tabs on the games en route to your eternal damnation. Well, count me out. Because we're all going to hell in a handbasket sponsored by DraftKings and FanDuel with a built-in console in each handbasket so we can watch every game we bet on the road to eternal damnation. I would rather walk barefoot across broken glass into the afterlife with Stephen A. Smith on my shoulders. Anyway, we're getting there. I'm going gambling mad.
Gambling Mad with Norman Chad is written by Norman Chad and ghost-written by Norman Chad. Executive producers are John Scheinberg and Rick Barrio-Dill. Produced by Norman Chad and Rick Barrio-Dill. Our associate producers are Bree Khoury and Asher Friedberg. And edited by Asher Friedberg with studio facilities at 360 Pod Studios, Beverly Hills.